No, that's very cool. Yeah, thank you for doing this. I'm a huge fan of yours. Feel very honored. You're like my
Man,
first,
yeah.
like, I would say, like, really cool guest. So,
That's awesome, man. I appreciate it.
yeah. So, yeah, no, this is Lindemann Outdoors. My dad's not here with us today. We call him Iceman because he's just kind of a stone cold killer. He doesn't get buck fever like I do. So,
I got you. Well, that's the same here, man. I get doe fever. I get fawn fever. I just get sick when I see them.
dude,
So
yeah, I get jittery. For some reason, I'm like, I have to miss one once a year, and then the next time I can smoke them. But I don't know what it is about that. But yeah,
I get that.
turkeys get me more riled up than anything.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, I guess you just have so much time to contemplate with deer, and you got cameras that you can run and everything, and you just sometimes they'll sneak up on you and they'll just shock you. You'll see a buck that you've never seen before, but
Yep.
uh, but yeah, it's just something about those goblin turkeys, man. I don't know. It's
People
weird.
don't get it. I don't know
They
what it is.
don't.
Like some people don't. They're like, oh, it's a turkey. You can walk up and just shoot one in the head. I'm like, when you get a bow or a shotgun, you get in the woods and you hear them and it's dark and they fly down. You can and just your heart just starts racing.
Yeah, that's it.
And
That's
sometimes they
it.
come in and just kick the crap out of your decoys. And yeah, it's nothing better than that.
That's it. This video that I'm putting up, um, what's today? Thursday, Wednesday.
Yep.
I'll put it up Thursday, tomorrow, or Friday. It will. It will. It'll be the only. Well, let me take that back. It was the first time last year because this is last year's video. It was the first time I'd ever used decoys before,
Oh,
and
really?
this bird, yeah, I got it on film, got it on camera and everything. Now it's a cell phone cam, but you
Yep.
can still tell everything.
Yep.
It's just not super 4K crisp,
Yep.
but we had decoys and we were able to call this bird in from right at 1,000 yards,
Yeah.
and it was just super insane. And he came in and he hit the decoys, and it was just yeah, it was beautiful. So
Yeah. No. I was actually talking with some of my coworkers this morning. They're like, turkeys? You hunt turkeys? I'm like, yeah, turkey hunting's awesome. It's like
hmm
elk hunting for Midwest people that can't get out to the mountains.
now, where are you out of?
I am Grand Forks, North Dakota. So
Okay,
I grew up in Roseau, Minnesota. Basically, people make fun of me. It's Canada. It's right on the border. So I
gotcha.
grew up fishing in Canada and hunting North and South Dakota and Minnesota was kind of our range of hunting and fishing and stuff. So,
Gotcha. Gotcha.
you know,
Yeah, that's
kind of,
why I hear when you say people, you just walk out there and shoot them in the head. There's nothing to it.
yeah,
That's why I ask because I'm like, you must live in one of those states that's like they're all over the place. They gobble a lot. You don't hear
yeah,
anybody talking like that here, man, in the South.
no,
These birds down here, they got lockjaw, brother.
yeah,
I think half of them are mute.
yeah, no, it's definitely like I was raised in an area of the world where hunting and fishing, and I was very blessed as a child. I never really had hardships in the woods. Um, got
That's good though.
oh, I mean, I'm ruined for life. Like
Yeah, yeah,
it's like me and my dad always joke. He's like, that's why I got into hunting because then you can't be smoking or drinking because you're too busy buying broadheads and fishing lures and spending all
that's
your
right.
money on your next bow.
That's right. That's
You
right,
know,
man.
what was I mean? What was your kind of like? Did you like grow up with your parents or grandparents, or what was like your hunting origin? Like started like that.
So my uncle, my dad's brother, he when he was like 15, he got into hunting, deer hunting a lot, and he kind of grew up the hunter of the bunch. My dad, like his hobby was the stock market. He was a businessman when me and my brother were real little. So he was focused on work, and his hobby for whatever reason, he just loved the stock market, and but his brother really took to hunting. So I've got an older brother. Um, I got one brother, let me say that, and he's 5.5 years older than me. Our uncle took him hunting and showed him the ropes, and in turn, that's what my brother did for me. So I didn't really, I didn't really get to start hunting a lot until probably 13 years old. I killed my first deer at 9, and then the next year I killed another deer. I want to say I killed a deer just about every year after 9 years old, but I would only go like with my brother for the next 5 or 6 years, at least until I could drive, and and we would go for those from 9 to like 12. We didn't really have anywhere to go hunt a whole lot. My grandparents had about 40 acres, but the way it was positioned, it was like a crossing through area. So if you wanted to go out there and shoot a doe, you could, but
Yep.
anything, any kind of rack buck, they're moving through at night. And so we would, I would hunt from like 9 to 12. I'd hunt a few times a year. And then my parents bought 32 acres and built a house on it. So as soon as they did that, that was also a small plot that deer crossed through a lot. But
Yep.
in that area, there was a few more bucks, and I practiced zero management. I'll just tell you that. If it was a spike, if a 4 point, a small dink 7 point, it didn't matter.
Yep.
I was going to shoot it. And so, but the cool thing was, is I could walk out of my back door and
Yep.
just walk into the woods and climb up in a climber or a lock on or a ladder stand or whatever, because this is before, saddles.
Yep.
And, um, and then I joined the Marine Corps. So once I started driving, I started to hunt public a little bit more. And we started duck hunting a lot. That was when Duck Dynasty came out back in like
Yep.
2010 or 9 or 11. So it was a big thing, when I was in high schools when they came out. So that was a big
Yep.
push to go duck hunt.
Especially down south. I mean, that's like they're in Louisiana.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
they're like 4 hours from me. They're
Yep.
in Monroe, Louisiana.
Yep.
So yeah, it was a huge push towards duck hunting, which I still deer hunted a lot. And I never really got into turkey hunting. My uncle, that same uncle, took me one time right there behind the house. We saw a hen. And that was one of those things that I had no idea how to do. So I didn't bother. And I joined the Marine Corps when I was 17. So from 2013 to 2017, I was in the Marines. And when I got out, I had come home very few times, hunted like twice since I was in the last 4 years, which was killing me. And I had gotten bit by the turkey bug. I had wanted to, obviously deer hunt as much as possible and turkey hunt as much. I'll say this, from 2017 to now, 8 years has gone by. And I would say the average turkey and deer season, I'm hunting in the woods 2 to 5 days a week.
Oh
So I
man.
made up for lost time.
Yep.
And but so when I got out of the Marine Corps, that's when I really started diving into public land. I really started hunting 4 or 5 days a week, trying to get better and better as a hunter. I started following THP,
Yep.
um, and I want to say they come out in like 2018. But anyway,
Yeah.
I started saddle hunting, I think, in 2019, the fall of 2019, because we were in Starkville when I got my first saddle, Starkville, Mississippi, and at Mississippi State. And um, I was just deer hunting public, and I was trying to figure out. I tell you this, in 2018, I'll back up. I got out in the spring right before turkey season in 2017, hunted all spring, didn't kill anything. And then the very next year, about a month into season, hunted all spring. And the next year I killed my first bird. And so that really hooked me into the turkeys. So
Yep.
now I deer hunt 4 or 5 days a week, and then when turkey season comes around, I've got to get in there and get one.
Yep.
So I'm doing the same frequency. But I would say when I ever since I killed my first deer when I was 9 years old, as long as somebody would take me up until I was 15, I was going. And then once I
Yep.
got 15, as long as my dad and mom would let me go hunt, um, I was going. I just
Yep.
wanted to be in the woods hunting something. It didn't matter if it was deer, turkey, hogs, um, coons at night. It didn't matter.
Yep.
ducks. It just really didn't matter. I just wanted to be in the woods and go kill something, and just have a
Yep.
good time. So, but yeah, that's kind of how I got into it and all that. So
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, it's yeah, especially thank you for your service in the Marines. That's awesome.
I
That's
appreciate
you
it,
know,
brother.
I yeah, I've always just been super just blessed to have people like you in our lives and go out and protect us, and that's really awesome. And that's kind of cool how you kind of had growing up into it and kind of just kind of getting bit by the bug, as you said.
Yeah,
But yeah, especially with like and like you talked about saddle hunting. I remember because like my dad was like climbers were the thing back in the day because
yeah.
we hunted a lot of public land, and we
What
kind
kind
of
of climber
started.
did you use? I'm sorry.
I
What kind of
had
climber?
well, my dad had the lone wolf one that he had forever, and then when I got a little older, he was letting me kind of go by myself in the trees. He got me a nice. It was one of my birthday presents because my birthday's in August, so I was always
Hmm.
like, what could I get for this hunting season? And he got me like a nice Summit, just like lounger style, and just that was. And I'll be honest, I fell asleep in that thing more times than I should be proud of. They were comfy.
Yeah.
And I had the one that had the big like bungee seat, and so it was just like a
Oh,
recliner. And yeah, I've told this story once before, but I'll tell you it's we're sitting in this kind of public land piece. It's got like two meadows and like a row of like it's like pine trees and then it's like popples and it's kind of going through there, and it's just a path from deer going from a big field, egg field to the woods to the swamp, and my dad was sitting deeper, and I was sitting there just chilling in my comfy stand, and I was like, "Ooh, it's getting a little chilly," so I stand up, and this I didn't know. My dad could see me, and he saw like an 8 pointer coming, and so I stand up to get my coat on, oblivious, I was like 15 at the time. Kid, and I stand up, turn
mhm.
around, I'm like, oh, there's a buck right below me. And I grabbed my bow and I shot him at like 5 yards from the tree, and I was like, nice, good hunt. My dad was like grunting at him and doing all the work, and I was just like, ooh, man, nice little climber. Might put my coat on.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, that's how
No,
we
see,
started.
I've always been scared of heights.
Yeah,
And the military got me out of that. It
yeah,
just made me like face it, put us through stuff that you had to do it. Like you're not going
yeah,
to be that guy, you
yeah,
know? And but growing up, I would go like maybe 12, 15 feet tops. But I
yeah.
started climbing with an old man climber. And
Oh,
that's what I'm talking about. The net seat, the
yep.
real heavy,
Those
had
are
the
a little
loop at
sketchy.
the end that you could use as a gun rest or a foot rest, always the foot rest.
Yep,
Uh, and yeah, so my first year out of the Marine Corps, I was like, dude, I'm buying a good climber. I'm buying a good climber. Like this is heavy. I've heard all the things about this Summit and everything, so I bought a
yep,
Summit. Same thing.
yep,
And the first good buck that I killed out of on public and with a bow was this deer right here. So this one. So that right
okay,
there is a 9 point. That's about I think he's right at maybe 15 inches wide. That's a
yep,
big thing down here. We go off like when I grew up, when you would measure a deer, nobody that I grew up with measured deer by inches. We
yep,
we literally would be like, "How big's that deer?" And we'd go by width. Oh, he's 15 inches wide.
okay,
Golly, that's a big old deer, or
yep,
17, or oh, he ain't but about 12 inches wide. It was always the
yep,
width of the rack. And but you said you shot your deer at 5 yards.
yeah,
That deer right there, um, and this is another reason I won't run out of climbers anymore. That deer right there came in, and I'm not kidding, dude. Like I had a shrub to my left, a shrub tree. Like I had a bunch of trees all around me, but this one tree was just like 5 or 6 yards from me, and its canopy was,
mm,
I was up there a good bit, probably 20 something feet, and the canopy was like 10 feet off the ground, so I couldn't see anything for like those 30 yards out there.
yep,
And then all of a sudden, I hear his footsteps, and comes up. And dude, this deer walks and he sniffs, puts his nose up to my bow rope. and start sniffing my bow rope. So I'm having to, like, I first draw on the deer, and my darn limb on my bow hits the edge of my climber.
Yep.
And he just kind of just does that. You can tell, but he can't see me.
Yep.
And he doesn't register to look up.
Yep.
And I have to go over the climber
Yep.
edge. And I'm literally, I won't never forget, I shot that deer at 0 yards straight down, spined him,
Yep.
killed him. But yeah, that was my first good bow deer and good public land. That was my first, no. That was my first good buck, period. At
Yep.
that time, it was like I was going through my head of all the first. I was like, this is my first good buck. Or
Yep.
no, that one on the wall. This is my first good public land buck, first good bow buck. Like, oh, I just
Yep.
make up a lot of stuff to always have it my first,
Yep.
to make it even more special.
My first
Uh,
buck I killed, and I drove a white truck out there.
yeah. It's like it's my first buck in my new truck. Oh yeah, I've got these new gloves on first. Yeah. It's just
Yep.
I don't know, man. That's just how my mind worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was a cool time, man. A
Yeah.
good old climbers.
Yeah. No, those things are. I like now that saddles are out, we're big saddle hunters. I haven't hunted in a tree stand, a climber, a hang on. I did hunt a ladder once last year, but it's probably 3 years since I've hunted in a tree stand that's like a hang on or something.
Well, the
And
best thing for me is when we're walking into the woods and we've got a decent walk and somebody brings a climber and they see me pull my saddle out, grab my
yep,
bow or my gun, my backpack,
yep.
and they're like, I'm like, all
Where's
right,
your
let's
stuff?
go. Let's go. I got my stick right there. Like, all right, let's
Yep.
go. And you hear them, they're clanging through there, and about 600 yards in, you hear them. And I'm just like, listen, it's worth the money. Just buy
Yeah.
the freaking stand. Just buy
Yep.
buy the saddle. It's
Yep.
worth the money. So, but anyway, I love them, man. I
And
can't
you
I can't hunt public without them.
you one stick it, don't you?
I may go to 4 this year
Yep.
just because um, it is dangerous. There is an element to it that is dangerous. When you're getting up on the stick and you have slack right
Yep.
there, you're not gonna fall to the ground.
Yeah.
But let's just say the stick breaks or
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
and then you do fall for 10 feet and
Yep.
it jerks you. Who
Yep.
who knows what it could do, but
Yep.
a buddy of mine told me, he said, you got kids watching you now, so you need to, and it made me think about my own son. It's like, Lord, if I keep doing one stick and, am I going to want my boy when he gets 15, 14, 15 to get up there?
Yep.
And the way tethered, I mean, the one sticks, those 4 1 sticks, they don't weigh nothing.
Yeah.
And that's the whole purpose of the reason that I do that. And I started that is for weight
Yep.
and for room on my backpack.
Yep.
One stick takes up, this much room as far as like 4 takes up this. But in
Yep.
the grand scheme of things, it's not that big a deal. you
Yeah.
know. So, but yeah, I've one stick since I want to say it was 2019. And just rappelled down and all that,
Mm.
which I would still do. I would still do the rappelling, use the Mad Rock and all that once I
Okay.
got set. But yeah, man, I love it.
Yeah, I
I
always
love
use my dad's got the fancy, lightweight tethered sticks, and I got these old muddy ones that that are like
Yeah,
40 pounds. But he goes,
yeah.
you're young, you're fine. You played college football, you can lift that. I'm like, I don't want to lift it, but I will. Just because I'm big, I
yeah,
don't I don't
yeah.
want
Who'd
to
you
lift
you played?
everything.
You played college?
I did. Yep. At University of North Dakota, I played Division I football. It was
What
I was a
position?
backup. I was offensive tackle and guard.
Okay.
I'd kind of go. I was left tackle because I'm only 6'4", but I had as long as arms as our 6'9" guy, so I'm
Only
built like an
6'4".
orangutan.
You definitely sound like a Division 1 athlete. I was only Division 1 backup. I'm only 6'4".
Yeah. I always say, I was backup to the guy who's now the left tackle of the Dallas Cowboys.
Just call him.
So
Here we go. My mom was calling me. Let me text her real quick and let
Yeah,
her know I'm
no.
not dead in the ditch. Can you still see me?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I can. Well, when you're texting, I can't see it, but no, moms are important.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
always answer my mom.
Yeah. Uh,
But
but
yeah,
yeah,
no.
no, no. That's that, dude. That's that. You're a very unique individual if you played a Division 1
Yeah,
sport, backup, bench or not. They didn't even ask me to guard the water, and I would have gladly. So
yeah.
I mean,
No, it was a lot
but
of
that's
fun.
cool.
I mean, I definitely I missed out on some hunting trips, and my dad got to go on like Alaska salmon fishing trip, and he's sending me
Oh
like,
wow.
yeah. So I was getting up at 4 to go work out or do practice, and then he's like, I'm like, I get back and I see like 20 text messages from my dad holding salmon like this big, like, hey, look at that. I'm like, ugh, I'm tired. I'm laying on the floor of
Yeah.
my apartment just beat. Ugh. But no, so now I'm done with that. I'm getting back into it. So, but no, my senior ahead of me, he's on the Dallas Cowboys now. So my backup to
Okay.
a big guy. So
That's what to say. There you
nope,
go.
no,
You'll
but
be
that was a lot of
hollering at
fun.
him, letting you hold some money every now and then, man.
I would think so.
You
Hey,
know?
remember when I carried your shoulder pads that one practice?
Yeah, yeah. So you might have a rotator cuff issue if it wasn't for me.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so come on now.
yeah. No, but it was good. But I did get, I did get injured. The whole, offensive lineman blow out a knee thing. That's just classic
Oh
college
gosh,
football. Yeah. So that was a hard turkey season after that knee surgery. So,
yeah.
but
That would be like nowadays if you could get in and get an NIL deal for something.
oh my
We
god,
talk about it because I do. I've done finance and investments for the last 5 years now, and I always, we always talk about that, and I'm like, dude, if you get like $1 million contract, just take that. Don't spend a dime. Take
yeah,
like 900 grand and just throw
yeah,
it into a mutual fund.
yep,
And in 10 years, you'll be set. You'll never have to work another day in your
yeah.
life, because that's what happens to you guys, man. I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
that's like college football. Like you've seen it, firsthand happen to you. As so many guys get hurt
yep,
and so many like good potential, really good athletes that could have a long career with that, just that one play and it's over with.
yeah,
And it's like, well, they're selling insurance, or
yeah,
whatever the case.
yeah. Me, I'm working
So,
at a radio station. So, but
yeah, yeah.
I love this job. It's great. I get to do things like this on the out. I mean, I'm middle of the workday. I'm on a podcast with Trent Ellis. Man, it's awesome. So
That sounds like a lunch break, brother. I'm sorry for you. Don't.
I got lunch after this. We're good.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind. Yeah, there you
Yeah,
go.
whenever
There
we're
you
done with
go.
this, I'm taking lunch and this is on the
There
out.
you go.
But no, this is it's a good gig. Yeah, mine was sadly I wasn't even I wasn't on the field. I was in the weight room. It was
Oh yeah.
yeah, we were squatting and my coach was like, we want to start next season. You better put our plate on there. I'm like, Coach, I'm already at 535. I thought we're doing like heavy sets today. He's like, you can do it on a plate. And I'm like, okay. I got two of them at 600. The third one got me, and then that was it. So, but
Oh my gosh.
yeah, it
How
was
many
pretty.
times does that happen? Does a motivated coach, whether it's a powerlifting coach or not
Yeah,
powerlifting, but you know what I'm talking about, the
strength
weight
coach.
room coach or whatever, I can't remember, strength and conditioning. There we go.
Yep.
How many of those guys have to go to bed at night and be like, crap, I probably shouldn't have said
Yeah.
that. I probably shouldn't have pushed
You
him to
know,
that next plate.
half the time it works. Half the time you're like, because a lot of kids are like, well, I don't want to push it, and then you push it,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden you're like, well, there you go, your new PR, and now you're stronger, better, bigger, faster, stronger. But yeah, but no, it was good. I did get a championship ring out of it, or we won our conference championship, so that was
Nice.
good. Beat those Bison.
And nobody can ever take that away from you, dude. Like
No.
that is that's a big reason why I joined the Marine Corps is because I loved football.
Yep.
I love football. I was a linebacker and a fullback, and man, but I was not big. I'm 5'11". At that time, I was 190, 195, and on a good day, I mean a phenomenal day, I could clock a 4.85.
Yep.
Like I was running 4.9. Well, if dude, 5'11", 190, 4.9, nobody is going, oh, that's our next Ed Reed. That's going to be the white Ed Reed right there. No, no, no. I mean,
You
that's
know,
why it's like, dude, our water boys have better 40 times than you do. Okay, we're not, no. So I was pissed because
you know,
I'm like, man, I didn't get a look from nobody, and I'm like, I do not want to go to college just to go to college. So
you know,
what's my next step? Oh, I guess I'll join the military. So
you know,
that's how that all happened because I was wanting to go play JUCO ball. I knew I wasn't a
you know,
Division I athlete, but I wanted to just get on the practice squad at the JUCO or whatever. And but yeah, that's how my stuff happened.
you know,
So, but yeah,
you know. Yeah, I have that's like, and one of the questions I kind of was wondering is big saddle hunting guy, and one of the most important questions I think any hunter who's really a hunter knows is what is that, that turkey ground blind, that saddle, what is that little snack that you carry with you that's gonna hide you over? What's that? What's that? What's is it? Are you a meat sticks guy? Are you a Twinkies? Swiss cake roll guy? My dad's an
I'm
oatmeal
a
cream
fat
pie.
guy. I'm a
Oh,
fat guy. Like, dude, if it's here's the thing. If we have it,
you know,
because I have a problem just like a drug addict has with drugs.
yep.
I have an addiction to Little Debbie. If she
Oh
was a
yeah,
real person, I would possibly consider leaving my family for her. But with that being said, look, I try, especially when I have a morning hunt or whatever, I try not to take any food. A lot of times I don't even drink water, you
yep.
know, and because I know that when I get home, I'm gonna just like I've got a whole thing of Skittles in a big tub, and I guarantee you, I ate 2,000 calories worth of Skittles last night.
Yep.
But if I'm at deer camp and everybody's partaking, um, my number one go to if I could and not gain a lick of weight would be an oatmeal cream pie.
Mm.
You give me you give me like two or three oatmeal cream pies, a stick of Jack Link's beef jerky paired with a spicy thing of cheese.
Oh yeah.
Dude, give me like two or three of that. Dude, my morning routine in the Marines was buy a pack of Marlboro Reds,
Yep.
a Red Bull, and two sticks of Jack Link's spicy beef jerky and cheese. So if you just take the first two out of there minus the Red Bull now, or just take the cigarettes out now because they're ten
Yep.
dollars a pack. That's
Yep.
un-American. And you put the oatmeal cream pie and the beef jerky in there, dude, bro. If I had like Greek god genetics, that's all I'd do. That's all
Yeah.
I'd do. I'd eat that and steak
You
and
know,
deer meat.
we like to say, you can tell I work out, but you can also tell me I don't turn down cookies.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yep.
I had a buddy of mine, and this we'll skip past this question, or get through it. But
Yep.
on my second deployment, a buddy of mine, he had never roomed with me before, and we were
Yep.
living in where they called them cans. They were
Okay.
small, real small trailers. It was just basically you walk into it, and it's one little room, and you've got two bunks in there,
Yep.
and so when you come off post that night, that you go to your can or whatever. And Geo had never roomed with me before at the barracks back at the unit, and we're now overseas and we're doing our thing and all this kind of stuff. And I'm getting care packages from home, and getting like chips and oatmeal cream pies and fudge
Yep.
rounds and all this kind of stuff.
Yep.
And I'll never forget one day. He was from I think he's from like New Jersey or whatnot, but he was a big runner. He was a big health nut, everything. And I remember him looking at me one day, and I've got a whole family size bag of Doritos that I'm just sitting in my rack just eating on, just hating life. And
Yep.
he's like, dude, how are you still hungry? We just ate chow. And I'm like, bro, I'm like, this is snack time, dude. He's
Yeah.
like, do you realize you would look so much better and be so much more ripped if you would just not snack as much? He's like, you're eating a family size bag of Doritos and you're almost three-quarters of the way done. Like,
Yep.
So yeah, I've always been a big snacker, man. So
Yeah. My roommate's like that. I'm like, hey, I identify as a family of four. I'm gonna eat this. I'm gonna eat this whole bag.
that's a good line right there. That's
Yep.
me too. Golly, that's me too,
Yep.
man.
A box of mac and cheese, Kraft mac and cheese, college football. They're
Uh
like,
huh.
you eat that whole box? I'm like, this little box?
Right.
I identify as a family of four then because I'm
Yeah.
eating the whole box of mac and cheese. This is ridiculous.
Yeah. Exactly. So we're not Vietnamese. Come on, man. Like this little box of mac and cheese. That's an appetizer. My son will eat that before he eats a steak. You know.
Yeah. No, it's yeah, it's like when I have foster kids. My foster son and he likes, when we make mac and cheese, I have a foster and a foster daughter and I make them one box and I make me another box.
Yep.
And they're like, and my fiance, she's like, why are you making two boxes? I'm like, well, one's for them and one's for me.
That's right. That's right.
You know,
That's right.
no, no, it's a funny way of living, being big and in America.
Right. That's right.
Have you seen what is it like there was I think like I forget who it was. I think it was the like Buck Commanders. They had like a list of like top five snacks, and like everyone like voted for like which are the best tree stand snacks. I think little Debbie was just like so far off the charts. It was just nuts.
Oh, it's
I
always going to be the top.
yeah, I think they probably especially recently. I think they've seen an increase in their sales just from the hunting and fishing community.
Yep.
You know,
If you want to know somebody like the real public land, really good hunters around here, if you go and their top is going to be Vienna sausages, or as we call them
oh,
down here, Wiener with an
okay,
er at the end. Wiener sausages. If
yep,
you see if you're out turkey hunting
yep,
and you see a fresh empty can of Vienners at the base of a tree where you're hunting,
yep.
that turkey's dead. Just
It's
go ahead
gone.
and back on out, Bubba. They kill birds and litter. That's what they
Yep.
do. That's yep. I've everybody that I've ever hunted with that has cracked open those slimy, stinking Vienna sausages.
Yeah. I
Most
didn't know
of them
people
been
eat those.
killers.
They don't eat those up
Look, hey,
north.
I'm not saying any names. Okay, I'm not proud to be associated with them. To be honest with you, okay, but they do exist, and they are killers. So
Yep. That's awesome. Next question I have for you is kind of like a more like serious hunting question. Is like, what is that hard? Okay, you grew up kind of learning on your own. What was that hardest lesson that you had to learn while hunting that like really just like changed? Leveled up. What was that hard lesson that really changed your ways?
dude, I felt like I've got an apparel line now, merch line now called Bad Luck Hunting Club,
Yep.
and I felt that way for so long. Like if it could happen to anybody, it was going to happen to me in the
Yep.
woods. Um, I mean, I've had several instances of just straight up bad luck, and forever now, I've almost taken it personal. Like I have literally cursed God. How crazy is that? I mean, I have literally out loud gotten so upset over something happening in the woods that I have cursed God. And you know, I've had to tell myself here recently, especially when social media started happening, um, I had to remind myself that it's a blessing to be able to walk out and climb up in a tree, sit at the base of a tree, and just view what God has created. It's a
Yep.
blessing. It doesn't matter if I harvest anything or if the guy beside me kills the bird or the deer. At the end of the day, I'm getting to go out and be a part of His creation and do what I love to do. And the that was probably the hardest lesson I had to learn and teach myself was that stop looking at every time you go out a success if you kill or a failure if you don't,
Yep.
because there's so many things that you could be doing that you hate or don't love, just not even
Yeah.
hate, but just don't love. And there's so many people out there that would give their right arm to swap places with me and have an opportunity to hunt 4 or 5 days a week, you know. And I was shared camp with a guy named Jesse Fish. Well, Jesse in South Alabama this deer season a couple months ago. Jesse Fish turkey hunted for 10 years straight before he got his first bird. Okay, he could only hunt on the weekends, which gave him 4 weekends a month.
Yep.
I'm sorry, 4 weekends a season, 4 days a season. I don't think he hunted on Sunday. He hunted 4 times a year for 10 years straight before he got his first bird. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you meet the guy, and he's just top notch,
Yep.
class act, doesn't complain. And I would be, you know, I'd be on my third marriage. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just,
Yep.
I mean, I'm just, I was when I don't get to hunt, I'm just not a great guy to be around. And
Yep.
I had a realization to be like, listen, bub, you need to be thankful for where you are, because you could be at the plant Monday instead of looking at the weather on Sunday night.
Yep.
You could be drinking at the end of a bottle and being like, crap, I got 5 more days of this bull crap. I got to put up with that stupid boss and this person. So that was something that I had to learn. I don't know if I'm sure it's not probably what you were looking for, but at the
That's
same
exactly.
point, like that's it, man. That I
Yep.
just be thankful for the times that I get to go out there and, quit worrying about, you know, if I missed one or if one blew at me, if I set up wrong or whatever.
Yep.
So, oh, well, here we go again. Here's my bad luck. It's
Yep.
turd head over here has been hunting 3 times this year, just killed a 148-inch deer.
Yep.
Probably cornered him.
Yep.
It's just being cynical and pessimistic. So that's I had to really humble myself and just be grateful for what I've got and been
Yeah.
able to do.
No,
Yeah.
that's awesome. That's a better answer than I could have ever hoped for with that question. And you know, I always say that like the woods is more my church than going to church.
Hmm.
It's where I feel just like most centered with God, and there's a lot. And then I've been so blessed to go on some really cool places, hunting and fishing. I've gone like 12 hours north of the border. I've gone out west. I've gone like Kansas and stuff, and big, the Great Lakes and stuff like that. I'm always just like, wow, you just like
Yeah.
looking at. There's like I remember this one time, didn't see a deer that morning. Just I don't know why, just didn't see one. And they were usually I was out west, North Dakota, and I was sitting above a big river basin, and like this fog started coming up, and the sun was shining through it, and it was kind of cold, but I had a big puffy jacket on. I was leaning up against a little pine tree, and I was like, "This is one of my favorite hunts." And it was a beautiful sunrise, and it was a beautiful morning. Didn't see a single thing, but it was just so beautiful, and I was just like, yeah, this is definitely the life God made for me to live. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's my church, as I always say.
That's awesome.
You know, and um, oh, sorry here. What was kind of this might lead to the same question, same answer, but what is that best part of the outdoor lifestyle that we all are very blessed to live in this great country and this great world that God gave us? What is your favorite thing about the outdoors and why?
I, I really, maybe I have to talk myself through the answer. I don't know right off the top of my head.
It's kind of a tough
It
one.
was something, it was, it's so hard to explain because, you know, like I said, ever since I was 9 years old and killed my first deer, I only dreamed literally of being able to hunt for a living, you know, to do something around that, to keep me in the woods. Um, Being able to watch the woods wake up in the morning, whether it's deer season or turkey season, is
Yep.
is my favorite thing. You put a turkey in there and you hear a hoot owl go off, or you hoot and you hear that bird fire off. That just like
Oh yeah.
and then also, I feel the same. I feel close to the same way when I'm on a boat and it's midnight and we're running the river and trying to catch a bunch of catfish with cane poles shoved in the bank. You
Yep.
know, it's just that I don't know. I think it's part of who we were wired to be and how we were meant to survive. We had to have something like that inside of us in order to work hard, have the drive to survive. We got all got a very cushy lifestyle now. Even people that are technically in poverty, most of them have indoor plumbing and heating and air conditioning. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? Like that's and I'm not taking that away from them.
Yep.
I'm just saying, like, compared to what it was 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago, whatever the case. Um, and I feel like the good Lord gave us all something like that inside of us to help us survive. And I think that's why so many times I take people who have never hunted or they've never turkey hunted or they've never this or that, and you get them out there, and more times than none, they're like, "Man, this is crazy. This is awesome. I love
Yep.
this. I can see why you do this now. All that kind of stuff." Um, but I don't know, man. There was just something inside of me that was born the moment um, that I got to put one down. And it's been that way ever since I've killed my first duck, ever since I killed my first bird, turkey, that is. Um, quail. It don't matter. I love getting out there and just being a part of the hunt.
Yep.
You know, um, Now I have not made it a practice of hunting things that can kill me. So I'm not going to pull a Cam Haynes and take a bow and go chase a grizzly bear.
Yep.
You know, I probably I don't do enough push-ups for that or squats. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, but as far as everything that's pretty much a herbivore,
Yep.
I'm going after, and
Yeah.
yeah. So, but yeah,
No. That's a great answer, and it's kind of like I've asked this question before to people, and it's kind of the same thing. It's so hard to describe like why it's special, why it's this magical, just spiritual thing, just being out in the woods or on the lake, or just even if you just like camping or hiking. There's just something
yeah.
about it that it's just hard to explain with words, and until you experience it yourself, it's kind of hard to explain. But yeah, no, it's a fantastic answer. So it's a hard question. I ask that one a lot because it's people are always like, well, geez, why do I do it every single day? I spend thousands and thousands of each of my paychecks and all this time and effort to go out and maybe harvest an animal or catch a fish. But yeah, it's magical.
I think it's the same as asking if you could ask a dog how it smells so good or why it barks.
Yep.
It's like I don't know. It's just what I do. It's just
Yep.
what I like. You know, I mean, it's my instincts. I just
Yep.
it's inside of me. That's the way I look at it for myself, man.
Yep, that's awesome. One of the things I wanted to kind of to ask about is your was it? I don't know if it was last fall or whenever this happened, but your video of that South Dakota buck that you shot and you only had 4 hours to hunt. That was such a
Yeah.
cool video. Take me through kind of how that where did that 4 hours come from? I know you were on your way to visit family or something, but just you had 4 hours and you made it happen. That's really cool.
Well, what's crazy is 2 weeks prior to that, 2 or 3 weeks prior to that, I was out there for 4 days.
Okay.
And I was out there for 4 days with Prestige Outdoors. They're buddies of mine, Corey Jonas, and Foster Bartholow. And So if y'all are listening, go check them out. Prestige Outdoors. Um, I was out there with them, and we were deer hunting, and we were, the bucks were peak rut.
Yep.
So we'd rattle, we'd grunt, whatever, and we were calling bucks in, but I had my bow. So where we were and the places we were set up were just not great for bow
Yep.
stands. We were hunting a lot of open stuff. So when you're calling, it's just like turkeys. A lot of times, if that animal comes out there and responds to a call, they don't see anything.
Yep.
it kind of makes them a little nervous. Like, well, I know my ears are telling me that's not 500 yards. It should be right there, and there's nothing there.
Yep.
So we never got anything close enough to get to. And so I ended up thinking, well, crap, I'm come out here to South Dakota. Not these boys' fault. You know,
Yep.
they ain't got them in a pen, you know,
Yep.
tied up and shooing them out like it's part of hunting. And I'm like, well, I'm eating a tag sandwich. So
Yep.
I go home, and dude, I don't more get home. And I'm like, hey, are we flying or are we driving back to Washington? Because my wife's from Washington State. And we decided that we were driving. And I called Corey. I said, hey, dude, I said, we're driving back to Washington. And he said, dude, why don't you? And I said, I'm already above you here. I'm already like, look, so where this place is in South Dakota,
Yep.
that's our like halfway point, or
Yep.
a little bit over halfway,
Yep.
but that's our first stop anyway.
Yep.
So I told him, I said, dude, I've already cleared it with Bree. Why don't you and I just have one more go at it, and we'll let them sleep that first morning that we're there. So we'll get there late that night. That morning, me and you go out and get in the tree, and it that's exactly what happened. It was a Hail Mary attempt. This is post rut, so you don't have the in my mind. It's like these deer are not going to be as callable or whatever.
Yep.
And Corey picks me up at the hotel in a flashing Halloween suit,
I saw
looking
that.
dang.
That's so
Yeah,
funny.
okay, you saw. Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Crazy, dude's a freaking nut. And I'm sick. You can tell in the video, like I feel like crap, but
Yep.
I'm like, there's no way I've got a tag. There's no
Yep.
way that I'm sleeping in or whatever. So
Yep.
so we get out there, and where we're in the tree, you can see like the deer stay in the late evening. They come out of the mountains, they go down into the valleys, and they feed all night. And then first thing in the morning, they come back up in the trees. Well, we can see as the sun's coming up, there's deer out in the valley, and we can see them start easing up. And they get about 250 yards from us, and I'm looking through my binos, and I'm like, oh crap, that's a good buck. But I'm not freaking out because he's
Yep.
250 yards and I have a bow, and I'm like, what's the chances of me being able to call this deer? He's with like 7 or 8 other does right there.
Yep.
And so Corey tells me, he's like, he said, hit that black rack.
Yep.
And I did. And he's watching, he's not filming. That's one thing. I'm giving a shout out to that turd head. Corey never, if he films for me, he never picks up the camera first. He always has to look. And I'm like, dude, get the camera up. Anyway, so
No, but that's so
he
funny. You say
starts
like,
looking, and he's like, dude, he literally just licked his lips and stepped out of the pine edge. He's like, I think he's coming. And
have them
so
perfect on camera.
yeah, so literally the does come in first, and they get like 80 or 90 yards from us on a little hill, and they stay there, and we see him come through, so we know he's coming and following the does. And uh, the does ended up spooking off after 5 or 10 minutes. Like every one of them white flagged us and ran off. So I'm thinking he's gone. Well,
Yep.
Corey, he's like, dude, I see him. I just saw his tail flicker. He's still right there. He said, hit that grunt call. And once again, Corey didn't get it on camera. I had to go back and act like it was, I'm sure people thought it was staged, but I had to go tell them, like, this is the grunt call you use. This is what I did, and
Yep.
everything. So, so I hit that grunt call 4 times, but, but, and I mean, within 10 seconds, Corey's like, he's coming. And literally, it was like I had him on a line, just
Yep.
pulling him to me. He came right down, come back up, and because we were on the edge of the hill, big
Yep.
part of the mountain or whatever right there. And, he got about 40 yards. He started to, or he got about 25 yards, and I needed him to take about 5 more steps, and he was going to be in a clearing, and I was going to have a 25-yard shot.
Yep.
And he wheeled around and started walking off. And I said, dude, it's 7:30 in the morning. This is a pit stop. This buck is not walking away without an arrow getting flung at him.
Yep.
And he stopped at 40 yards. I'd already ranged some stuff for that opening, and you can hear Corey in the background of the video. Can you take that shot? And I don't even know he's saying that at the time, but I just drew back. He looked at me, and I had to tell myself right then, because I've missed a lot of deer with a bow, and I I told myself right there. I was like, as soon as he looked at me, I was like, take your time. I'm just sitting there talking to myself, take your time, take your time, take your time, and I'm raising up, and I squeeze off, and I thought he was going to duck.
Yep.
I was like, I knew the whole time, like, this deer's going to duck. Well, dude, he didn't move. And I mean, I hit him. Dude, I hit that deer like way back here, right in front of his hind quarter. But
Yep.
I knew because he was quartering away, I hit something vital coming out.
Yep.
And man, that deer, he piled up 200 yards out there. We didn't see him fall. I didn't see him fall. Corey did. But
Yep.
right where he come out of that pine edge, licking his lips, that's where he died at, and that's
Yep.
him right there.
Oh yeah. Awesome.
My first, he's my first out of state buck,
Yep.
and I told you earlier about my first, how I am with my first and everything.
Yep.
He was the first deer that I'd ever killed over, I want to say 25 yards. I shot him at 40, so
Yep.
I'm just first 10 point. I'm just over the moon, and we got it on camera. We got it
Yep.
on cell phone camera,
Yep.
and yeah, it was. I was like, this is insane. This is a pit stop 10 point. My
Yep.
wife and son, I FaceTimed them, and they had just gotten up at the hotel and were starting to
Yep.
get ready for the day. But I was supposed to. I ended up. I got out there before daylight. We got to South Dakota and stopped at 6 o'clock that night. I got up at 4. I had shot a deer by 7:30, and we were back on the road headed to Washington State at 12:30 p.m. after lunch.
That's
So
awesome.
it's yeah, it was the coolest deer hunting experience I've ever had in my life.
Yeah. That's so cool. Yeah, no, it's I watched that video and I was like, just to have all that go together, that's just like that's awesome. I was watching, I was like, this dude had like 4 hours and got it done, and
Yep.
yeah, I've spent out. We got a lot western, North, and South Dakota. It's kind of where we go because they have just huge deer out there. I don't know what it is, but just they get huge. My dad's killed. I mean, this is why we call him Iceman because he shot just some pigs, like some
Hmm.
170s, and of course I've had some chances at a couple huge ones, but
Yeah.
for some reason I've had two now. They're behind a pine tree, and all I see is their neck, and they're kind of looking. And of course, they spot me because I'm not an expert. And I just, yeah, there's just been
Hold up.
some.
Hold up.
Yep,
Hold up. My wife called me. Let me text her and tell her.
you're not dead in the ditch.
Yeah, on a podcast. Everything okay? She's probably gonna tell me or ask me if I want something. Could you preheat the oven to 400? There we go.
Yep.
There we go. All right, tell me about these. Tell me about these two instances or two deer or whatever.
Yeah, no, these deer were just crazy. That we would call one the tank is just huge. Probably like I'll say it was 165 ish. And my dad told me he's gonna walk right up this trail off this pine tree. We had a trail camera there, and he's doing it all. He's doing it every day. And of course, he steps out and he spots me just like that. And these old mature bucks, they're smart. They know what you're doing more than you do. And he just spots me because I'm half draw because I heard him coming, you know. And all I see is his neck, and I didn't take the shot because I was like, nah, I'm not taking a neck shot on a buck like
Yeah.
this. And he just literally just backed away slowly, like it was like he just stepped
Oh,
backwards and back into the woods and went down back in the river. And I was like, yep, there's my one chance at a just world class deer. It was just gone. But no, the when you said that your
God.
buddy always looks with his binoculars, looks at the deer first, then grabbing the camera. My dad is the most like holding the camera and doing this, and
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
he wants to make sure the last turkey hunt I did, he dropped the camera as soon as I shot it. So I have it on my YouTube, and the arrow hits the turkey, it kind of falls, and then the camera just like drops to the ground. And I'm
Yeah.
like, Dad, what are you doing? He's like, well, I gotta make sure it's a good shot. I'm like, well, I hope you have a little more faith in me.
Yeah. That dude, that's so hard being a hunter and a new cameraman. Like Corey, he's filmed a lot.
Yep.
But he got excited on that. I give him a
Oh
hard
yeah.
time, but he's a great cameraman. But dude, if you're not just a cameraman and
Yeah.
you are a hunter and you're trying to get into filming, it's so difficult
Yep.
in those situations to remember I have got the purpose of me filming this because I've been my own worst cameraman. I have been my own worst self filming. I'm like, I got to get this on, and then I get into the moment, and I'm like, screw the camera,
Yeah.
like
Yep.
yeah, I do that. What you're talking about, your dad did, moving the camera,
Yep.
um, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I give him a hard time just because I can, He's my
yeah,
dad. I can say what I want about him. He's not even here, so we could really talk some crap on
that's right, that's right.
him. But no, and one last thing. Again, thank you for coming on. I just want kind of I always wondered like how did this your comic skits and things like that. When did that start? Like how did you kind of get into that? Was this kind of just like you posted one just for fun, and were you always kind of into comedy, or how'd that kind of start?
Um, as far as like how I got into this, man, yeah, I've always been kind of like the class clown. I've always and loved making people laugh, and I come from like a really comical family,
Yep.
where a lot of the times when growing up, I remember my best memories were, you know, either going over to my grandparents and just watching everybody get around and be loud and laugh, or watching my
Yep.
dad. Like probably the best memories I had of my dad were just watching him watch Seinfeld.
Yep.
And
Yep.
of course, I don't know what the jokes mean, but I laughed just because of how hard he was laughing. It
Yep.
was literally making me chuckle that way. But to kind of fast forward through everything, man, I when August of 2023, August of 2023, I had by that time I had been watching a lot of Facebook Reels and YouTube Shorts. I never had didn't have TikTok,
Yep.
and I was just hearing some people talking about it, man, and people that they were talking about making money, and I'm like, dude, I don't even know who these people are, and they're killing it.
Yep.
And so that told me right there, I don't have to be good enough for everybody to know me, just a few folks. And
Yep.
so August 24th, I think, of 2023, I downloaded TikTok and I told my wife, I said, I'm gonna upload 2 videos a day for 7 days. And if I don't hate it, I'm
Yep.
gonna keep going. Um, and hold on just a second.
No worries.
So I, uh, I uploaded 2 videos and, I wanted it to be about hunting humor
Yep.
just because I have, that's my passion.
Yep.
One, I know a lot about the culture,
Yep.
and I just knew, like, man, between the South, Southern humor and hunting humor, like, man, I'm sure I can say some things or do some things that can really resonate with people and they can relate to. And let's just try it out. Let's just try it out and see what happens. Who knows? And the only thing that I can say, man, is that I just didn't quit. I
Yep.
just didn't quit. I tried to be continually to be relatable and to try to get better. Um, Justin Nunley was nice enough to teach me about the hook the first month that I was doing it. I
Yep.
reached out to him, and to my surprise, he messaged me back and told me about the hook, the first 3 seconds of a video, and how important that is, and all that stuff. And then I just went from there, you know, and yeah, I just try to get a little better and a little better, and just it just led to getting a little better views and doing skits and
Yep.
ranting on there and trying to talk about Southern humor and hunting humor and then Southern fathers and marriage and all this kind of stuff. And yeah, it's been crazy, you
Yeah.
know.
No, I mean, you hit the. I mean, if you're worried about the southern people, you got the northern, you got the up north, you got those midwestern people. We're on your algorithm, so,
Yeah, I
whatever you're
think it's
doing,
I
you're doing
think
it
it's
right. So
country.
it's
You know,
yeah,
I think
it's definitely
my
country.
my humor my humor I think really resonates with blue collar middle class America because that's what I am and that's how I was raised.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter if you sound like this or if you enunciate like yourself.
Oh, I
It doesn't
appreciate
matter. So, it really doesn't. I feel like if we were, if we were all lined up, because I served with a bunch of boys, I was one of the only Southerners in my unit, and
Okay.
I can tell you, man, me and a boy from Missouri, a boy from Kansas, Montana, unless they from Bozeman,
Yep.
or something like that. I mean, we all the same. Sound
Yep.
a little different, same message. Okay,
Yep.
same work ethic, um, everything. So I feel like there's a lot of folks that just all over the country, man, that are brought up country, were brought up with the same roots, same thought process, the same daddies. The
Yep.
same ones that told you twice or told
Yep.
you once, and that second time come the pain train. Uh,
Yep.
back when men were men. But
Yep.
yeah, yeah, man. I just tried to continually make content that is relatable.
Yeah.
I don't want to make content that you know just. I have made some videos that were not very relatable, that were just strictly just straight up funny.
Yep.
But I've, like I said, I've enjoyed people coming up to me, man, and just telling me, dude, you sound just like my daddy.
Yep.
You sound, or women being like, you sound just like my husband or my
Yep.
brother, or man, we share hunting camp with this old boy, and he is just like that.
Yep.
That kind of stuff. It means the world to me, and as long as I can, as long as I can keep going without getting canceled, which could be a stretch.
Yep.
I'm gonna try to. So
Yep. No,
yeah.
that's awesome. No, it's definitely one of my favorite ones. I remember just clear as day is the one about the kid who beat up a bully and his dad's gonna take him bow hunting.
Yeah, yeah,
I was like, dude, that's there's a couple times, grade school and stuff I got in a little trouble and my dad be like, well, who started it? Okay, did you finish it? Okay, who won? Yep, I won. Yes, yes, sir. Yep, he was picking on my friend. Yep, okay. He's like, okay, not in trouble. I was at home. Was like, get Brevin steak
no,
tonight.
no. All
No.
of us kids were brought up. I feel like our daddies looking at us and being like, "You better not ever start any fight,
Mm-hmm.
but by God, you better finish every one of them. You
Yep.
better not let anybody run over you. You don't let nobody pick on somebody else.
Yep.
Because if you do, you're gonna have me to fight when you get home, and it's
Yep.
gonna go way worse with me than it is at that schoolyard."
Yep.
And
My dad be like, your friends might fight fair. I'm old. I fight dirty. And I'm like,
that's right. That's right.
yep.
You can't say that. You can't say that stuff. Nowadays on camera and everything like
I'm
that.
like,
But that's true. That's how those kind of men are the men that built this country.
oh yeah, and
Those
like,
kind of men are the ones that did that.
you
So,
know, my dad never laid a hand on me, but he made it know that he could.
oh yeah,
I was never like, I listened because I've seen him pick up a boat trailer and put it on the truck hitch. And I'm like, okay, I'm not messing with him.
yeah. Well, most of us have a healthy fear, and it's of our fathers, and it starts off as a healthy fear, when you're little, and by the time you become a man, that fear turns into respect.
Oh yeah,
You don't think about, could I
yeah,
whoop my daddy? You think about, there is no kind of circumstance that would ever cause me to want to strike my father.
Yep.
because you respect him for how he raised you and what he had to go through as a child, and
Yep.
then also, you know, all the stuff that he didn't do, and and my this is daddy didn't do this or didn't do that with me. It's
Yeah.
like you now as an adult, you're like, he had a lot of crap going on, man. He did the best he could, you know.
Yeah.
It could have been a
And
heck of a lot worse,
yeah.
you know. So, um, yeah, yeah, but I don't know how I got off on that rabbit hole, but
No, it's that yeah, that's our whole podcast is we're always like, yeah, we're a hunting and fishing show, we're well, sometimes we are. Sometimes we get off on a tangent. We'll always range it back to hunting and fishing.
that's right.
But no, but I like you said, my dad, didn't have the best childhood, but he made mine one that I will never forget and one that was very cherishable and fun growing up in the outdoors. But yeah, no. Again, I want to thank you for coming on. We can kind of cut it off here. I think that was just gold, as we would say.
I
You know,
appreciate it, brother. I
yeah,
appreciate y'all having me, man.
no, we appreciate what you do, appreciate what you've done for us, and yeah, thank you again for your service, and thank you for making
Thank
us
you, man.
laugh, and thank you for coming on here, and yeah, you just been a pleasure, man. I really appreciate it.
Same here, brother. Same
Yeah.
here.
Hey, if you ever want to come up north and catch some walleyes or do some hunting, you let me know. I always got a spot for you.
I'll remember that. I'll just
Yeah,
show up. Okay.
yeah, you show up.
Sometimes.
Yeah, we let.
You'll get a knock on your door and you'll be like, "Oh crap." Like,
Yep.
yep, told you. Don't invite me if you don't want me to. If you don't mean it, okay. I just
Oh,
show
I
up.
mean it. We got room in the boat. I'll send you home with a whole bag of walleye fillets, and there you go.
There we go, man.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. Thank you, man. Have a good day,
You
everyone.
as well, brother.
God bless everyone. Get out there. Fill the freezer.
That's right. Amen.
Thank you.